Hey everyone, welcome to another Crusade rated video, and in this one we're going to talk about my final team for Icarus and how I achieved the damage that I got. So let's quickly go over each unit. We'll go in numbered order. I will also have this in the description if you want to check the unit names as well. But we've got number 1, Jacksui, number 2, Transcendent Illya, number 3, Meria. Number 4, Angel Bolina. Number 5 is Nay. Then we got Monica on 6, Aevati on 7, Transcendent Kosgaard on 8, and Verir on 9. Right, so these are all maxed, aside from the units like Meria who doesn't need rank 10, but they have all the maximum damage buffs or skill ups on them, right? So first off, let's talk about some of the boss mechanics and nuances that we have to work around, and then we can talk about how the team runs. So first off, when you attack the boss is going to gain a bunch of armor, but you also reduce this when attacking with them, right? So we've got Jacksui attacking first, and then Transcendent Illya is attacking second, which means we'll reduce 30% of the armor, right? The boss will basically start with 80%. And then we reduce down to 50% before Bolina moves, and then Bolina will then remove the rest because she does 4 hits, so that's another 60% reduced, so that will strip off the rest of the armor, right? So that's how the armor is going to work. And then the boss also dispels buffs when she attacks. Now this is very important. It means that to do a one-shot sort of, or basically a one-shot team, right, or 1 or 2 shot, we need to kill the boss before it attacks. It gets its second attack, because if it gets the second attack, first off, it's going to dispel any buffs that you do, right, or that you've done previously. Then it's also going to trigger its EX based off you having the dot on you, right? The dot won't kill your units, right? Except for Transcendent Illya, but that is a sort of deliberate thing. I need her to die, right? But everyone else, I need to survive, obviously. But I don't need to run a healer or anything like that, because I'm killing the boss before it matters. And it would matter if it's going to trigger its EX, because the EX will basically wipe your team. And yes, but I've sort of worked around it so that it's not going to matter, right? Because it's not going to get its second turn. The reason for that is because once Jacksui and Illya are dead, Bolina is going to be the next unit that moves, right? So on round 2, she's going to be the first DPS to move. And she's going to overkill the boss, and the boss obviously won't move because it's dead. Right, so that's the general method for the turn ordering. Now the buffing, it's sort of deliberate. I'm not fully buffing Bolina on round 1, because that will do. It will make Bolina do too much damage. She can actually one-shot the boss straight from full health if you buffed her completely. So that's how much damage Bolina can do. So to control that, I'm actually moving the buffers after Bolina, so that they'll buff her after she's done her first attack. So this is also why it's important. I have to kill the boss before it moves, right? Because otherwise, all these buffs will get dispelled on round 2 with this turn ordering. Alright, so first, let's go over just the general turns now. So first off, we've got Jacksui will attack first. She will taunt the boss, and then the boss is going to one-shot her, right? Which is fine, I don't need her, but she's done her job. Then number 2, Illya, she is built on 2 mobility cores. One reason is that it means that her damage doesn't change at all, because she has no crit rate at this point. So she'll always do a fixed amount of damage, but the mobility is important so that she survives the initial attack, right? Because the boss has a random targeting, and that's why you need a taunt on your first attacker, right? But I position Illya here so that she will also get hit and take a little bit, right? And then the dot eventually will kill her before Monica moves. That way Monica will trigger her EX ability. But I needed mobility on Illya so that she is guaranteed to dodge because the boss doesn't do true damage; she just does normal attacks, right? Her like main like source of damage is actually her dot plus her EX ability. So if you have max dodge on the Illya, then she'll reduce the damage that she's taking, and she'll survive long like to apply her debuff, also her buff. If I had her on no mobility cores and I was just running like say HP to try to survive, sometimes she'll randomly just die to the boss, or if she survives, then she will have too much health and then she won't die before Monica takes her turn, right? So having 2 mobility cores on her sort of lines it up perfectly this way, okay? So she'll do her buff. She'll also remove a bit of armor on the boss, and then eventually she's going to die on turn 5. Basically, I think before or after name moves, around then, right? The name will buff, and then so after that, so even before that, Bolina will get buffed by Meria and do chip damage, or sort of chip damage. It's about half her health, right? And then everyone else will start buffing. Right? We've got Nae's buff, which will buff Bolina and Verir. Then we've got Monica will trigger her EX and plus her normal buff on Bolina and Verir. And then Aevati will buff everyone here, right? Then we've got Kosgaard moving next. And Kosgaard, I put her on crit chance cores. And the reason for that is so that her damage is consistent. Potentially I could just run her on attack, like attack cores, but she won't have maximum crit. Technically, I could probably just get like a little bit more damage out of her, but it's too insignificant because I kept her at a low amount of star up, right? The reason for that is that I want her to be as low as possible, just in case from future bosses that there might be like a situation where if she were 6-starred and max leveled, she might do too much damage. For example, my previous boss team from last Crusade, I was sort of thankful that I hadn't 6-starred her because it allowed me to use her as the unit that reduces the boss's health as low as possible, right? Basically, like the final bit of chip damage to get the boss, as close to dead as possible. So for that reason, I'm just keeping her at 4-star, basically like the minimum required to get her to awaken. But if I did get her to max or 6-star, then I could do a bit more chip damage because there is room for more chip damage, but it just wasn't big enough of a deal for me. I'm happy enough with the score. Then we're going to have Verir attack. Now Verir is very important here because this is the first like sort of showcase with Verir as like an actual damage dealer. Now the boss will have 0 armor at this point, and obviously she's an anti-res unit. If the boss had armor, the Verir will do very little damage. Right. So obviously Bolina needs to move first to strip all the armor with her 4 multi-hits, and the boss will have 0 armor at that point. And then there is still resistance, but Verir ignores the resistance. Then she will have buffs from like Monica, Aevati, and Nae, right? She won't be capped crit damage, but it's as much as I could get her on, right? Because there's no room for an additional like single target buffer. Because if I could buff her with something like a Maybell or a Tina, I could potentially get her to crit cap or maybe close to crit cap. But what she's going to do is she'll do a fair chunk of normal damage, and then she's going to apply this Black Claw mark. And this Black Claw mark snapshots based off the amount of damage you're doing at that point when she applies it. So that's why before she applies it, she needs to be buffed as much as possible. The boss also has Fragile from Kosgaard at that point, and then Verir also applies her own Fragile, right? So there's 2 instances of Fragile after that, and then she'll snapshot this onto the boss. Then, when the boss gets overkilled by Bolina, the mark will also trigger and do like a bunch of damage, right? And so that's very important for like Verir. It was sort of like the key thing that I was missing when I was trying to figure out how to maximize the damage on this boss, and that was to try to snapshot as much damage as possible onto Verir without her killing the boss. And to do that, I did make sure that Bolina doesn't do too much damage as well. So it's a bit of like a finesse, a little bit of a finesse thing with these two, right? So then she'll chunk it down to about 250k roughly, right, remaining. So there is like a lot of room still to like try to get a bit more out of it. I couldn't really figure out a way to get like the last bit of damage like as close as possible to killing it. Obviously, Kosgaard, I could have 6-starred it, but I don't think it would have made enough of an impact to get it down like to like 250k. I don't know how much exact extra damage Kosgaard would do, but it's probably not enough to like make up for 250k. But anyway, that is sort of the general strategy with the team. It's a lot to digest. Actually, this is a lot more complicated than previous bosses. But I'm gonna start the battle, and we'll slow it down a little bit so I can like try to talk through a little bit about it. So first up, we got Jacksui's taunt, right? And then the boss will attack and deal a little bit of damage, I think, or yeah, a little bit of damage to Illya, and then Illya is going to have the damage over time on her, and it's going to tick down, right? You see that there. It's going to tick down after every unit moves. So there's like a couple of ticks there, and then we chunk it down, roughly half, and then Illya's almost dead, and then she's going to die now, and then Monica will now have her EX up, right? Because 2 units have died, and then she's going to buff everyone down here. It's a little bit hard to see the health, but Aevati has survived and buffed, and the Kosgaard will do a little bit of damage. You can see it doesn't do that much damage, right? Because the boss is on was a resistance boss, but Kosgaard is like fixed damage, so fixed damage doesn't really do that much damage usually, because the multipliers of fixed damage is usually pretty low. That's why she doesn't do that much. And now we're about 250k, and then we do the overkill with Bolina. And then this is the final score, right? Now this is consistent. There's no variation. I'll always get this on every hit. So times 3, then I have my high score on this scoreboard here. All right, so that's my final score, and yeah, that is it for Kosgaard. This is the last day. So yeah, thanks for being patient. It took me some time to figure this out, and also I was sick at the beginning of the week. I've mostly recovered now, but yeah, that's sort of why we're doing this a little bit later than what I would usually do. But that is it for Icarus. It was actually pretty fun to work this team out. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. So thanks guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.